Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm Tom Acklin in Frederick, Maryland, East Coast, United States, a little north of DC on a Sunday morning, and the birds are welcoming us. And I have the pleasure of introducing my dear Haseena Patel and my dear Shameema Patel, sisters in Newcastle, South Africa, south of Johannesburg. And the three of us together brainstormed a while ago our convergence room here for World Unity Week called Humanity as Organism Thrives. And where we're connected, we're well. And Haseena and Shameema together founded Leave No Girl Behind International and started speaking the language of empowerment and started speaking the language of personal sovereignty, personal unfolding. How do we best step into our first claiming, right? First claiming personal sovereignty, and second, putting that into action. And so I so admire both of you for finding voice, both for yourself and putting thriving community around you and hungry community. Yeah, and I think that's what it's all about here today, as we explore all the spaces where we realize we've been hungry and we haven't really said so. Yeah, and Haseena is also an Akashic Records reader. In fact, right after this session, we have her daily Akashic Records exploration, and energy worker and yoga teacher. And if I don't stop talking, she's not going to be able to talk. So I will pass it forward. I look forward to exploration, and thank you for letting me be in the space here this morning.
Thank you. And our fellow presenter, Ingrid Pyka. So the topic this morning is Who Am I? And it's a short conversation about undefining self. What we're actually looking at is that we have this life and we're often living it in a way that may not be consistent with who we are. Ingrid Pyka, Shameema and I got to know her. Well, we knew her a couple of years ago when she first presented at Business Boot Camp about time management and a few other amazing techniques. And I was really so impressed because this is something that comes into our life. So often we tend to separate our business life from our personal life, but we really have one life. So we've got to integrate all that into who we are and how we function. And Ingrid comes from that business perspective. She comes from telling people or helping people, guiding them to integrate the time that they have into who they are and how they can help themselves in their career, their workspace, their environment. She also has the background of being studying veterinary science, and that's just how caring she is for all beings. And I think it's so fitting to have someone from those diverse backgrounds come together for World Unity Week, where we're looking for unity of all beings, and today is all about oneness. So without spending more time on that, I just want to welcome you, Ingrid, to be with us in this platform, on this platform. And yeah, we can actually just launch right into the Who Am I?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Haseena. Yes, it was definitely a beautiful connection that we had several years ago, and definitely in the last few months, it's blossomed even further. I also want to thank Dr. Tom and Haseena for putting together this amazing, incredible week with just the insight of bringing all together and into the self-unity. It's beautiful. And I know, Shameema, you've done a lot of background work on this project as well. So thank you all so much. And appreciate you joining us, Melanie and Marion. That's awesome that you also are contributing in your way. to bring all of this to fruition. Without everyone working as one, none of this would be possible. And I think looking at the world as a whole, many people forget that you part. You'd mentioned a veterinarian, yes. And so that was a big part of how I learned to not forget myself in our industry. It's been quite a challenge. And being able to nurture the clients and the patients, and that carries over to any business that we have. That work-life balance is so difficult to sometimes either separate or to quadrant the one into the next and make sure that we keep them aligned in our own world, and that us component, the you component, remains identifiable.
Yeah.
So I know we had a good conversation just a little while ago, Haseena, Shameema, and I, about what does it mean to be you. And I feel that a big part of that is, in essence, is letting go of guilt of not being you. When we feel that, oh, I shouldn't do this because of others, or if I did this, it could make others feel different about me, or what is my impact if I decide or choose path, the other path. And we forget that we are the axle to our own wheel, and all the spokes that go out and touch others come down to who we are. And if we don't show that authentic us, that becomes it falls apart. And every foundation is built on a strong cornerstone. If that cornerstone, you, crumbles, then the entire foundation is unstable and the whole structure falls together. So letting go of that guilt is a big component that, yeah, you deserve it. And in order for you to fulfill your space and to impact all those wheels around you, stay with who you are. There's a big difference. I was thinking the other day on want versus need, and I was thinking I'm preparing to go on a trip here. In fact, right after we finish up, I'm going to take off, and so I'm excited about that. And I thought,
Tell
oh my
people
gosh,
where
I
you
need
are
to
too, Ingrid. Tell people where
What
you
was
are.
that?
Where you're headed. Tell
I
people.
right now am in Denver, Colorado, and I have a little personal paradise up in Wyoming. So Denver has been my home for 25 years. Actually longer before that, when I went to the university, and so it's been really a pleasure, and I love making that space, and again taking that unadulterated this is me and giving myself permission to take off. I don't want to keep just talk. If you have questions, jump
Oh,
in.
please talk. I apologize for interrupting, but I wanted to celebrate your Rocky Mountain High and bring that into your thought. So you were talking about your
Thank you.
impact,
Yes.
the
So
idea that when I can claim my personal sovereignty and say I deserve, that equals social impact, right? That's where I interrupted you.
no, you're right. Very much so. And so as I was preparing for this trip, I was going through my to-do list and going, oh, and I need to do this and I have to do that. And it really compounded again the difference between need and have and want, right? Let's just hone in on I need to and I want to. Now, certainly if we even say the words, I want to, and you fill in that space, that already empowers a lot more intrigue, a lot more excitement, and a lot more passion, right? Because it's something you really want. Now, if we interject, I need to, that immediately in some people, especially when we think of kids, right? If you've got a teenagers, is you need to do your homework, or a little one, you need to go to bed. There's a resistance that builds up around us. Yet the importance of the need is paramount for us to continue to be able to complete those steps to achieve the I wants, right? I need to get X number of sales. I need to have so many clients. I need to complete my product. I need to do all my marketing because I want to succeed as a business person, because I want to be able to do these wonderful things that I want to do. I want to help people. I want to go on vacations. I want to have a different home. I want to this, and this. So in essence, I want is our true north. It's our goal. It's what we really are striving to do to fulfill ourselves, to be wherever we want to be. Yet there are some steps we must take in order to get there. If you want to drive from point A to point B, they'll say even to just go get a cup of coffee or to meet a friend, you need to have a mode of transportation. And whether it's a factor that you need to get a bus ticket or you need to walk or you need to get gasoline for your car, these are all inherent steps in order to get to where you want. The more we can break down that differentiation of what we need to do, then we assemble that into our time management. Well, here's a lot of needs. Can we get that in the time that we intended to achieve the want? So if you want to retire by the age of 65 or 55 or 45 or 85, if you want to retire by that time, what are the steps you need to do in order to accomplish that? Does that make sense?
Oh my word, yes, it does.
Mm.
And when you were saying the want to, I hear you on that. I've changed my narrative to I get to do this. Sometimes I find myself saying I've got to do this. Totally different to saying I get to do this. And bringing it to just a wider branch there. So when we were, because for those of you who don't know, Ingrid, Shameema, and I are collaborating and co-creating a business adventure, business personal, wonderful retreat adventure. But when we were busy doing it, I was busy with the bios. And Shameema, my sister, she, like Tom said, she's always she's a website designer, always doing the background. And I said, I was talking about her helping people, bringing out of people the ability to tell their story and know who they are. And she gets to do that. And Shameema looked at me, as we all do, when other people see what we're doing and we don't see it. She looked at me and said, really? Do I do that? And I'm like, how are you not seeing this? Shameema, I don't know if you want to speak to that point.
Interesting that you always frame yourself in a certain way and see, this is who I am and this is how I see myself. And part of it is all the labels you've collected over the years, that you've defined yourself by the people around you, your teachers, your relationships, whatever have defined your place. And then one day you discover yourself doing something new that's totally out of your comfort zone, like maybe speaking on a Zoom meeting. And then it's like you realize, well, wait a minute, I actually have this other side. And somebody looks at you and goes, see, you can do this. So yeah, it's just a different way of defining yourself or undefining yourself.
I love that. It's so true. And in essence, again, it goes back to when we're little, right? We're free. We're little children. Watch a child, watch a toddler, and they're free and they're doing whatever. They're dancing in the middle of wherever they want to, and they have no inhibitions. As we get older, we're said, sit down, be quiet. You need to go to bed. You need to do this. You need to behave. And so we find ourselves enveloped into the criteria that others have placed upon us. So then our brain begins wired towards, well, it's what others are placing on us, and it's their interpretation, and it's their guidance, their rules, it's their rules on how I show up. And when we let loose, it allows us that opportunity to be that true us. And one thing, going quick back to the wants, we're taught that stop saying want, right? You're being spoiled, you're selfish. Well, that's not true in some circumstances, right? If you know what you want and you're not depending on everyone else to provide that to you, then it allows that inner you to open up to achieve that want, because that's who you really are. It could be as simple as like, I want some mac and cheese. Okay. mac and cheese, for me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But for somebody else that wants the mac and cheese, that's delicious. That's all they really want is mac and cheese. And you know what? Look at this. We have restaurants that serve only mac and cheese and all kinds of different mac and cheese for different recipes, because that's what that was their passion, mac and cheese. And then they created a restaurant out of that. It's incredible when we allow ourselves that insight. And Haseena, as you pointed out, it's difficult for us to really know who we are at times. So allow someone to open that door for someone to share what they think are your highlights. Who do they think you are? And you may say, no, that's not who I am at all. Well, what does that tell you? If someone sees something in you that you don't believe in, there are only two options. Either they see something that you don't believe in yet in yourself, or you are not letting your true self out for them to see. Those are two big differences.
Mm-hmm. That is such a great way of realizing that, being that sounding board, and then knowing who you're actually interacting with, what they see. You've got to know, is this person on the same vibration as me? Are they aligned with me? That I will take that into account, which is such a great way of sort of discerning. But usually we do know that. And when it's people who have our best interests at heart, they often see things that we don't see. So here's a little technique that how do we get to the place where or we're looking at getting to our true self, aligning with who we are, and undefining all those other labels, the circumstances, the opinions, everything that society and people around us put on us, because that the freedom is that. And you could even say the responsibility is that. Because when we're in that space of freedom, we're able to align with our purpose and what we feel called to do in the world. And it's almost a responsibility, not in a like a drudgery sort of way, but in a way that it feels right for us. It feels like who we are, which is what I believe all responsibility feels like. So often we need a catalyst or something like that to start us off and to raise our vibration to where we can get to the place to say, what, peel away those layers of fear. What is there? What's left? What is my deepest truth when we do that? And the catalyst can be anything. It can be an exercise like gratitude, and not intellectually listing it, but really feeling the gratitude in this moment. You may feel grateful for nothing except your beating heart, or maybe, just the hug from a baby, or, your pet, or whatever. But that is something that just gets you to the place where you feel better, and then better and better, and you feel, what? This isn't me. I can get low. I can let go of that particular opinion because I feel so good about myself that I know who I am. And sometimes it's an event that can be a catalyst, or it can be, a conversation. It can be World Unity Week. Like, that's certainly been my catalyst to get things done in the moment, just organizing, doing things in the moment. And you know what? It's not so hard, because you're just using that as a catalyst to get to who you can be, like align with your potential.
I love that, Haseena. It's so true. The catalyst, I think, is something we should delve into more as well. Is so many people feeling stuck and they don't know how to get unstuck. Do you have to get to the rock bottom before you actually have enough pain to averse yourself from where you are now? Or could there be an inspiration like this World Unity Week that you're putting together? Could this be an inspiration, or any other, a person or a news story or a friend or a neighbor or a dog walking across the street and licking a cat? What inspirations, and those inspirations, obviously we don't want you to get into rock bottom. We'd rather get you up and up and up from where you are. So even those identifiers to yourself is, what would inspire me? What do I want? What do I want? And the what do I want really boils down to the whys. Why are we doing what we're doing? Because that is the impetus and the push. And then the how, those are those I need tos. And Haseena, as you put the I get to, it makes it a little more jovial and a little more exciting. It's like, oh, I get to do this instead of I need to. And those are just simple little mind shifts of wordplay or whatever it is to change within. And I'm a really big proponent of writing things down by hand, because there's a different neural pathway that moves through. So I see Dr. Tom, thumbs up on that. There's a different neural pathway when we utilize our hands, our action words, when we're writing. Cursive has also been proven to be more fluent for us, and it allows us to go back and review. When we have these checklists of what's important to us, what are we grateful to, what's our next step, and we have it in front of us as much as possible, it's a reminder. And those reminders become then more of who we can become, instead of being, it's like, if you hang around the wrong, tell me who your friends are, I will tell you who you are, right? You've heard of that one? Mm-hmm. So your friends are also your own ideologies. Your friends are your inspirations. Your friends are who you are.
I think it's about finding that tribe of people who help you shine in the way that who you are. And I love the idea of writing something down, because when you're writing something down, you're making it so much more real, as opposed to it just being in your head where you've never said it out loud. And writing it down is like the first step to saying it out loud, because it's on paper. And then from paper, it's to the person, and then to the world.
Yes, absolutely, Shameema. Absolutely. Everyone, I have to apologize. I do have to book. I've got to pack up my pussycats and get them in the refrigerator, because I've got to get them to my daughter and get on the road. But is there anything else I can do for any of you, or any questions that I can answer for you?
You've given me a beautiful gift. I've made a list of, and I'm not printer or cursive, or I have my own sort of only Tom can read it writing. And
it works. It's you.
With everybody's beautiful comments, I've been keeping an I want to ellipsis list, and asterisk, my third asterisk is to unenvelope me. And I actually, without even thinking about it, put a box around me, which was interesting. So to unenvelope me from others' needs, beliefs, and concepts of me. And thank you for that. I want to thank you for that, Ingrid.
My
and
pleasure. Would you do something?
Happy travels. Could you leave us maybe with a couple of words for how folks can get in maybe a daily habit to get in best touch with that I want to?
Oh, absolutely. Shameema had mentioned the I get, and I will give credit to Gary Barnes, mentor, friend, business coach, who has taught the get statements, great expectations today, bringing things of the future to your present tense, because what you live now works well. And so whether you say I get to, I want to, my vision is, I'm excited to, it doesn't matter, whatever works for you. But daily journaling is a very, very powerful and impactful way to keep you inspired, to remind you, and to allow those thoughts to come through as a way to grow, as a way to recognize. And things shift. That's okay. I am certainly not the same person that I was as a youth, that I was, well, I'm still youthful, as a 10-year-old, as a teenager, as a college student, as a newlywed, as now a divorcee. I am not the same person. And I'm very excited as to who I am now. And I have no idea who I will become. Dr. Tom, may I ask one, may I make one or offer one thought for you?
Please.
You put a little box, like line down, line across, line up, or whichever way you want to. And one is angled up, and put your name in the middle of that. So you now have an open box. Whether you want to have the top one open or the side one, that's your choice. You've just enveloped yourself.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
My
And
pleasure.
it's like I'm perspiring off my brow here in the 90-degree sun. The top of my envelope is now steaming.
Mary and Melanie, so glad that you joined us. Haseena, Dr. Tom, and Shameema, thank you so much for inviting me on this program. I appreciate you very, very much. And yeah, I think this will be one of my appreciation on my journals.
Oh, well, thanks for being here, Ingrid. And I'll definitely put in the chat the huge catalyst that we're doing towards the end of the year, because I think everyone should have the option of knowing that. So if you've got to go, you just leave. Thank you for just sharing all that wisdom. So Shameema has just put in the chat, Ingrid, Shameema, and I are actually, we've organized this retreat. We were busy talking about stuff like this, and it just all came together, and we ended up collaborating. It wasn't even a plan. Shameema and I always wanted to do a retreat. Ingrid was doing retreats, like we didn't know that. Shameema and Ingrid got on a call about something separate, and before we knew it, we were collaborating. So if you'd like to explore that, we're having an amazing adventure. It's called the African Journey, and it's here in South Africa, 4-star hotel, and it's in at a game lodge, which means you go on these safari drives and see the animals, and it's just 5 days, 4 nights of absolute bliss. And I won't go on about that, but if it feels aligned with you, have a look at it, globaladventureretreats.com, because that's how we met. It was an adventure for us. Thanks, Ingrid.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of this week, and keep living unity and shine your bright light, as you say.
Thank you. And we're moving to the end of this. And Shameema, is there anything that you'd like to share to end it?
You muted, sorry.
Oh, yes, I do. Someone muted me. Is there anything you'd like to share to end off for us?
I will leave you with the thought of, you get to undefine yourself and keep the labels that fit, and let go of the things that don't. And you get to choose that.
Yes. And if you think of anything that doesn't fit, take all those things away. Pretend you could if you don't feel like you can. And what are you left with? And that will be the thing that gives you joy. And that is your true north. That is the direction to go in. So those are my last words. Anything for you, Tom?
Amen.
Awesome.
Here's to unenveloping.
Unenveloping.
And nature abhors a vacuum. Sounds sometimes to non-scientists as something negative. And much of your work is oriented towards helping people let go of all the things that we've been educated into thinking are true, right? All of our structures, all of our ideologies, all of our mental concepts, etc. And where we let go of that, Mama Nature, the abundance, it's a readying. It's a metaphysical readying, right? To let go. Doesn't mean that the stuff that was good for you before isn't going to come back, but it's an in the moment surrender of the quote reality, which ain't reality. It's just what we thought of just a half a second ago. And we get to live in that conveyor belt of nature abhors a vacuum. I get to. Thank you.
Yes. It's a beautiful space to just end this part of our offering. And yes, we will be moving into our next session, which I'm going to be doing an Akashic Records reading